Hey everybody, it's Eric with Mangle Guitars. So I've seen a couple of people do their top 10 guitar players of all times. So you know what? I figured I'm going to do my own. And it's definitely not going to be what you expected. Probably. But let's give it a shot. Starting off at number 10, top 10 guitar players of all time. Number 10, Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top. This man defined what a rock blues guitar player is. From being friends with Jimi Hendrix and all the greats of the late 60s, early 70s, Billy Gibbons has cemented his place in rock and rolldom. The man is a genius. Number 9, Ace Frehley. Legendary guitar player Ace Frehley from Kiss. He is the reason that I picked up a guitar. The Spaceman. Often duplicated, but never, ever can you replace Ace Frehley. There's been people that have worn the makeup. You had a scab pretending to be Ace Frehley for years. Sorry, you're not Ace Frehley. There's only one Ace Frehley. Number 9, Ace Frehley. Number 8, and this is going to be one that a lot of people wouldn't expect from me. Roy Clark. Roy Clark is someone you saw on Hee Haw all the time in the 70s. I saw Roy Clark playing on The Odd Couple one time, and I had no idea that he was more than just a hillbilly guitar player. The dude was busting out classical like it was nobody's business. Phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal musician, multi instrumental musician. Number 8 is Roy Clark. Phenomenal. Number 7 on my top 10 guitar players of all time, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, I know I'm probably going to get bashed for not putting Stevie Ray higher up on the plateau, but top 10 is pretty substantial in my life. Stevie Ray Vaughan, unfortunately, was taken from us way too early, as most greats are. But Stevie Ray was a phenomenal guitar player. Magical. You know, if he had not been born before Jimi Hendrix died, I would have said he was a reincarnated being. I don't even believe in reincarnation, but I'd say he'd been reincarnated. So yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Number 6 of my top 10 lists, guitar players of all time. Eric Clapton. Now you got to have those two close to each other. Eric Clapton from Derek and the Dominoes. I mean, and all his solo stuff. Just phenomenal guitar player. I mean, his nickname is Slowhand for a reason. He is the epitome of you don't have to play fast to sound good, even though he can play fast. Eric Clapton is a force to be reckoned with. even in his upper years. Phenomenal guitar player. Coming in at number 5, the halfway mark. Top 10 guitar players of all time. I thought long and hard about this one because I do take it rather seriously. Glenn Campbell, another country musician, multi instrumental guitar player, the backbone of many, many great country songs. Phenomenal. Glenn Campbell. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. So we have got the number 4 greatest guitar player of all time of the top 10. Number 4, and I've been bouncing back and forth which one this is going to be. I'm going to have to go, and I know I'm going to catch so much grief for this. So much grief. But this is my opinion. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion. Number 4, Edward Van Halen. While I appreciate his innovations and his technique and his style, I do like some Van Halen. I'm not a crazy Van Halen guitar player fan. Sorry. I appreciate him and I think he's amazing. I mean, for God's sakes, he's in my top 5 of my top 10. So, number 4 is Edward Van Halen. Now we got the top 3. Number 3 on my top 10 greatest guitar players of all time, Yngwie J. Malmsteen. Yeah, I put Yngwie ahead of Eddie. Because to me, Yngwie did more for me than Eddie did. Phenomenal guitar player. Merged that classical feel. And besides Ace Frehley, this is the guitar player that really, really, really made me want to play. So yeah, that is my number 3. Top 10 guitar players of all time. Yngwie J. Malmsteen. Or Malmsteen. All right. Down to the last 2. Number 2. Greatest guitar player of all time out of my top 10. And this is really getting tough. Steve Vai. The legendary Steve Vai. Whether you knew him from David Lee Roth, whether you knew him from Whitesnake, whether you knew him from his solo stuff, whether you never heard of him before and the first time you ever saw Steve Vai was being Jack Butler, the Devil's guitar player cutting heads on Crossroads with Ralph Macchio. Steve Vai is my number 2 of my top 10 guitar players of all time. Like it or lump it, guys. This is my opinion. Opinions like buttholes. Everybody's got one. My number 1 guitar player of my top 10 guitar players of all time. And this one's really, really going to confuse the hell out of a lot of you. It's really going to kick you in the butt. And remember, I didn't say top 10 metal guitar players. I didn't say top 10 electric guitar players. I didn't say top 10 guitar players of the rock and roll era. Said top 10 guitar players of all time. Number one in my top 10 guitar players of all time. You ready? Drum roll, just like in Christmas Vacation. Drum roll. My number one guitar player in my top 10 guitar players of all time is Andre Segovia. Let that sink in for a minute. If you don't know who Andre Segovia is, hop on YouTube and check out Andre Segovia. He's a classical guitarist, phenomenal musician. Unfortunately, Mr. Segovia is no longer with us. He passed away many years ago. But when I started getting into Yngwie Malmsteen, I started looking up different classical guitar players, and I found Andre Segovia, and dude blew me away. Absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. Now, I've got a few honorable mentions that definitely could have fit in the list. You got Adrian Smith and Dave Murray of Iron Maiden. These two guys definitely could have been in my top 10 list. Adrian Smith and Dave Murray of Iron Maiden are amazing guitar players. And since most of Iron Maiden's music is written by Steve Vai, excuse me, not Steve Vai, I'm sorry, Steve Harris. I don't know if I should give Steve Harris a mention too, because then it would start the whole thing of top 10 bass players of all time. And if you start talking about top 10 bass players of all time, you got to say Billy Sheehan too. I mean, you got Steve Harris and Billy Sheehan and Jaco Pastor, Les Claypool. I mean, Bootsy Collins. I mean, that's a whole nother list altogether. But those guys I just mentioned, that would be my top five bass players of all time. You got Billy Sheehan, Steve Harris, Bootsy Collins, Jaco Pastor, and go with Dusty Hill. There you go. But anyways, that is my top 10 list. Greatest guitar players of all time. Honorable mention of Dave Murray and Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. And the additional top 5 bass players of all time from me. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Be good, and if you can't be good at it. Peace and chicken grease.